Hi everybody, my name is Monica Cesarato, a food and travel blogger in Venice. Welcome to Venice Meets, a series of live chats from Instagram every day at 6 p.m. CET.
Today I will meet Judy Witts Francini, cooking teacher, food writer and Italian life coach from Tuscany.
Hello! Yes! Okay, you have got no idea how happy I am. Funny. Oh, what a beautiful connection we got today.
Yeah.
You look great.
Just have to figure these things out, you know?
If life was so easy, it's okay. So, how are you, Judy?
Pretty good. Yeah, hanging out.
No, I read today that you're actually busy cooking. It's only you and Andrea.
It's therapy. Culinary therapy. I really think so, you know? I mean, I've been cooking for, oh my God, 40 years professionally. So,
forever. That sounds better. Forever.
I love to cook. And it's relaxing. Excuse me, it's relaxing. And I see now everyone's making bread and doing all this stuff. And also, I think the creativity of seeing what you have in your pantry and creating something with it is stimulating instead of just sitting around waiting for something to happen.
Yeah. What's interesting, what I love about what's happening now is that everybody at home is doing what me, you, and a lot of other people like us have been doing for years.
Yeah.
You know, telling everybody, you don't need to be an amazing chef, just use what you got at home and go with a bit of imagination. It's funny, it took a quarantine.
Well, being American, I think that for a lot of people, you know, in America, we move away from home very young.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you tend to live maybe on fast food or dormitory food or prepared food because they're cheap.
Oh no, she's gone again. Wait. Oh no, please. This is the curse of me and Judy trying to have a conversation. It all started so well. Please do not leave me again. Yes, okay, yeah, okay. I said it's a curse of me and you trying to talk.
Yes, I think a lot of Americans maybe don't have the confidence in cooking because for us it's almost cheaper to go out and get something than it is to cook at home.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more fun to go out and have a dinner party and everyone gets to relax. So I think people at home just do simple things and have kind of like a fear of cooking, of not following a recipe. They don't learn to follow a recipe.
Yeah.
And I think that limits you a little bit. And if you learn to cook, I think it's very freeing. And, well, just saute some garlic and olive oil. It makes everything taste good, right? Yeah.
Well, it happened to me yesterday. We had some leftover. I had some leftover pasta with pesto, but it wasn't enough. It's 3 of us, so it wasn't enough to do anything with us. And the kids didn't really fancy, so there is something else. But there was this little bit of pasta, and it just looked a bit sad on its own. So I just made a frittata with it. I just thought a bit.
That's my favorite thing. I'm waiting to make that now. We've got eggs. We've got spaghetti.
So, and I thought, okay, it wasn't the greatest dish ever, but it wasn't eating pasta again. It's something,
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to say. I think that's a gift of Italians, is not eating leftovers, but making leftovers a new dish.
Yes.
And so they're very.
I could never. I hate when we have left. Also because generally in Italy you don't have a lot of leftover. Oh. So I think that's a problem. The portion are not enough for our family generally. So what do? You have to make do. So how long have you been in Italy, Judy?
I arrived in October of 1984 for 1 month and kind of stayed.
Okay. Did you meet Andrea straight away?
No, after I was here a year. So I had come to study. I went for my grandfather's French. So I studied French, and I was a French pastry chef. So I was thinking, I had just turned 30, and I was thinking of opening my own pastry shop. So I went to France I was thinking this would be a good time to take a break, leave the job I had. I was working in a 5-star hotel, and I could go and apprentice somewhere in France and come back home with new recipes. So I went for a month to France, and I did some touching base in Paris and Lyon, Nice, Monte Carlo, with people I could have gone back and worked with for some time.
Mhm.
And I came to Florence because one of my roommates in San Francisco had lived maybe a year in France and a year in Italy, and she loved it. And she goes, "You have to go to Italy. You'll love Italy, and Italy will love you."
Oh, yeah.
I don't like Italian food. I don't like spaghetti and meatballs. I don't like.
Oh, you were there, the Italian food.
I was
Okay.
in America. Italian American food.
Okay. Oh, you're gone again. Wait, we lost you again. 1 second. 1 minute. I lost you again. You'll be back. You'll be back.
Wait, I'm going to see if I stand by my window.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is very good connection.
Hi. Okay. So
Yes.
I got my little window. So I came to Italy and I took a month of Italian classes in Florence, and I fell in love with Florence immediately. It was nothing like I expected it. And so then I decided to stay, but I had no more money, and I didn't really speak Italian. So I got a job, like illegally, making beds in the hotel I stayed in. And then it was one of the hotels that actually hosted American Study Abroad students. And so they were having like lunch there every day, and the woman who cooked was like fixing them chicken livers. I mean, things Americans don't eat. So I offered to cook for them. So I got a job then cooking lunches for these American students, and that was great. And then in December, the students left, everything, closes down. And at the same time, my old roommates in San Francisco called, and they said, "We're going to move. You have to come get your stuff." So I bought a round-trip ticket from Florence back to Florence. And I went home and I sold everything. Sold all my things, got a job waitressing for a few months. So I had another couple $1,000s. I sold everything I had, and I came back to Florence speaking some Italian and knowing some people. And I got a job waitressing because no one would hire me to cook because, whatever. The kitchens are small, and I'm an American, I'm a woman, and 6 million things against me. But waitressing, I got to learn all the culinary terms, which I didn't learn in language school. I got to pick up all the recipes. I kept a notebook. Every day we had lunch and dinner, cooked for us by the chef, recipes. And I did that. I forget for how long. And then finally, I got enough knowledge. I started my own little pastry business, illegally making pastries and selling them in Florence. So cheesecakes and German chocolate cakes and chocolate chip cookies and brownies. This is 1985, before there were any real American bakeries around. And I did dinner parties. I'd invite 10 people over and charge them $10 a piece. And we do Chinese food or Mexican food, something like that.
Oh, you were so forward. You were already there. Things that people are doing now. You were already there.
I'm American, so that's what we do, and nobody here was doing it yet. So my dream was to open a cooking school, and they said, "No one's going to come to cooking school." And I'm like, okay, fine. So I just shut up and kept going, and I got a job teaching. My first job teaching was for the Syracuse University Study Abroad program, and they had always had cooking classes by one of the professors' wives would teach. And so one of the professor's wives said, "I can't do it. Would you want to do it?" Someone recommended me. So I took it over, and they used the commercial kitchen in the bottom of the American church. It was gorgeous, huge. So I had like 20 kids. And we did once a week for 4 weeks, and it was a really nice program. And so I go, this is perfect. And so what happened then? Oh, when winter ended, then I just assumed that Syracuse had a contract with them for that space. And I came back, and they didn't.
Oh, no.
So I came back in January, and I went back, and I said, okay, well, great. We're going to do this probably same Wednesday nights. And they go, no, sorry. We I think Alcoholics Anonymous or something was going to be meeting there, and they didn't have any more free evenings. So I told the school, I said, listen, classes this year are going to start in February. And I went and found an empty apartment, and I rented an apartment, and just by luck, it was right in front of the San Lorenzo Market in Florence.
Oh, my God.
I got like a table and 10 chairs, And I had to buy a stove and a refrigerator. You know, Italian apartments, they don't come furnished really. And so I started teaching cooking in 1988.
Wow, that's the year I left for UK. It's the year I left for I moved to UK. Yeah. Wow.
So I started that, and you know that's all pre-internet and all that kind of stuff. So I did that.
How did people find you?
Well, because I was working just with the students.
Okay.
So it actually became really popular. So besides teaching for those kids, which was once a week, I started teaching for a language school in English, and I started teaching for that same school in Italian. So I had 3 nights a week with 10 people a night.
Wow.
A break and 4. I mean, it's incredible. It was great. And then I took out an ad in a beautiful wine magazine in America to organize culinary programs for a week. And it was expensive. It was like, I don't know, $2,500 or something for this one ad that ran once. But from that, I got a client who is still a friend today. And he came and took a program and kind of, broke even on the class. But I started. And then internet. I don't even remember when internet started, but then I started my first web.
Something like that, even 90s or something like that. 90 something. Yeah, something like that.
So I opened a website, which back then people had to write the HTML, and so I hired somebody to do that for me. And
oh my God, yeah. Tell me about it. Oh my God, yes.
When I studied computer in college, it was Fortran, and you had to punch cards.
Oh, wow.
And one day it dropped on the floor, and I said, I'm not for computers. I could have been a millionaire now if I'd kept going, I guess. And so I started then. When the internet started, I offered market-to-table cooking classes, one-day classes, because up until that point, it was just like, like the baronesses and the duchesses that were offering the one-week classes in their villas. So I thought, well, I couldn't afford to go to those. I'm going to offer things for people like me, just one day, and we'll do what you want to do, because we'll go to the market, and I'll tell people what you can do. So I started that, and I did that in Florence until 2009.
Mm-hmm.
And by then I had stopped the students and just was doing my custom day classes, and then started some week-long programs. And then I moved out to the countryside and opened a space in 2010 in Colle Valdelsa, which I thought I'd be working with people in Chianti. But instead,
that's when I start following you. That's when I started, and that's when I start following you. Yeah.
So I worked there, and I did that for 5 years. And then I was just like, oh, I'm exhausted. I'm just going to do week-long programs now. And now so in 2015, I closed my school, so not that long ago. But then I had so many clients that wanted to come back and do week-long programs that I thought, I won't rent it, because, renting a place is expensive to run a program. It's 6 months out of the year, but I had to rent it for the whole year, the places that I rented. So I said, I'll just do week-long programs. So that's what I started doing. It's just week-long programs. And I still do a market.
You become one of the contestants.
I'm not a contessa, but I have 36 years of experience now. So when I started, I knew nothing. I mean, I knew very little. I was here 4 years before I taught a class. So I had 4 years of experience of cooking Italian. And a year after I was here, I met Andrea. So I learned how to really cook Italian. His mother was alive. I learned recipes from her. I could talk to people. I could collect recipes at the market. So it was a different world. And now there's space for everybody else to do those one-day classes, and they have their own. Most people teach out of their homes now, so they can offer the classes really cheap. And I couldn't do that.
I don't know. I don't think it's this. I don't feel like. I know you. I know, because we talk about this. It's not the same, because I think what you offer is not just a question of, okay, this is a recipe, you do it this way. People like you, people like me, Letizia, Alevina, Julia, tomorrow is. We don't just teach a recipe, because nowadays, to be honest with you, just go online and you watch it. It is, you teach a way of life, you teach a way, the history of the food. But I'm sorry, if you don't speak the language, if you don't speak English, or whichever language you want to teach to, you can teach how to do the recipe, but you're not giving the right the whole context behind it.
I always called my thing culture through cooking, because people come and they hang out with you, and you really open up your heart and the city to them. So by cooking with a local, when you go to the market and you spend more time with people, you tell them where to go to eat, you exchange information, it's more like a friendship thing. But I do find there's work for everybody. A lot of people still say, I just want to take a class for an hour, hour and a half, and I want to learn how to make fresh pasta and tiramisu. So those classes are full all the time. People say they took a cooking class in Italy, and it's perfect. People like us, we want to get involved, I think, with the clients and exchange information and help people, like you're saying, to get to know the artisans and exchange information and send people to friends and friends of friends.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, I think when people leave after a day, you got friends. Through this, our tragedy of this virus, I'm getting emails like every day from past clients checking in on me and saying they're still cooking the recipes that they learned, and that's really precious. I mean, making friends and affecting somebody's life, it's nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, it's the same. I keep getting the messages. Above once I start doing this. Oh, this is so nice. We can see you still going, and as you say, just making sure that you're okay, and it makes you think, okay, I've touched somebody, and it's not just a question of doing it because, okay, we need the money. We got to pay bills like everybody, I suppose. But it's not just about doing it because you need the money. You do it because you love doing it.
Here's my little helper. Right here she is.
That's the only distance. That's my meter distance with a cat because I'm allergic to cats.
I'm going to jump out of the window because she's sitting on the windowsill here. Look.
Can you jump that high? Yeah.
Well, this is a young crazy girl. She's learned to jump from downstairs up to the bathroom window because we have a wrought iron door on the kitchen door. She gets to the top of the wrought iron door and jumps into the upstairs bathroom.
So how many cats have you got?
Well, we have 3 cats in the house, and we live in the countryside. So there's official cat colony in the piazza. She sees somebody. In the colony, we have 8 cats, and Andrea takes care of them at the abandoned church.
Yeah. So what is life right now in your household with this quarantine? Because you're obviously like me in the countryside, so how are you handling the situation?
It was hard when I moved from Florence to the countryside. I wasn't used to being home in the middle of nowhere with like sheep and olive trees and stuff like that. And that was hard, but that was in the year 2000. So now I'm used to sitting home and being by myself and working. I'm worried about my cat. Worried about, I'm used to being quiet and being alone. And thank God for Facebook and internet because I'm constantly in contact with friends and people online, and we do tour planning and for these week-long programs, and people just coming on vacation or helping them, advise them where to go and what to do, or that you kind of don't really feel alone, I think.
I saw that you're getting your food delivered as well, because I saw a video the other day that you had a lady coming.
We're going shopping once a week to the grocery store for basics, and usually Andrea goes. I went the other day, and it was pretty lucky. The line wasn't too long. But we're having our vegetables delivered from a local farm where we would buy our things from, so that's nice. Today we had the local olive oil guy. We just got 5 liters of oil. So yeah, fresh vegetables, and we're just, she sends me a list of what they have in season, and then I pick what I want. And then,
that's cool.
That's nice. by email, Facebook, messaging. And then I pick what I want, and then she brings it. So today was artichokes and cauliflower and some lettuce. We got some pears and pecorino cheese. We got that at the grocery store. I'm trying to think, escarole. I got some escarole. And then that was perfect because I had cooked Tuscan beans because I'm doing online classes through that.
Yes, I was going to ask you before the recipe. I was asking you to talk about that.
Yeah,
and what
I did a thing on Tuscan beans because I wanted to put it on the Patreon site because then so many things for Tuscan recipes build on beans. We're bean eaters, the mangia fagioli, right? And so I posted a picture of beans, and I got an email from Naples from the woman who, for the European community, is representing the tomatoes from Italy, asking if I
Kathy from Dream of Italy, say hi. Hi, Kathy.
Yeah, and asked if I could make an escarole and bean soup. And I'm like, send me your recipe. And I just happen to have escarole, and I happen to have beans.
Oh,
so
cool.
I made that, and I did a little food styling thing and sent her the photographs. So, I mean, the internet has really given us a lot that we can do, you know? I think it's...
So tell us about this Patreon site that you started.
Well, in 2017, I went to a culinary conference, and, you know, I'm kind of old enough to retire, but don't have any money to retire, so never retire. But I wanted to be able to do online classes, so I started doing Facebook Live cooking classes and just saving them, and then created a YouTube site, YouTube, whatever that's called, channel. And so then I thought, if I had that, when people asked me a question, I could write something up, send them the recipe, and then they could cook along with the
video.
Because I didn't do it like a cooking class demo. I did it where like I would teach if I was cooking. I pretended I was talking, because then it was like this. I could see that my friend Jasper in Kansas City is watching, and you can see who's there, and people ask you questions. And so it's got too many words and too many things, but it's a conversation. And so I've got about 45 videos on there now, so I started that. And then, I thought, oh, I'll open this Patreon site, because then that could build up to be like a monthly income. You just create content, you edit videos so they're shorter, and then people can cook with them, and I do the recipe, and I knew people that were doing it. And I thought, well, I'll do that. And I never got around to learning how to edit a video. And so, well, now
That's me. I got about 15 live chats that I have to put on YouTube, and I'm still working on the beginning bit of the opening. So I know.
Really simple. You could do it. I just don't mind, because that's all I can do. It's just me, you know. And I don't have kids, so it's just I watched a couple of YouTube videos, and I learned how to just edit and put it together. And I got a front page, and I learned how to put them on Patreon, and I think I have 14 people signed up now, and that's really good. And so we'll only...
By the way, this was 2 weeks ago, right? And then they tell us that our oldies, we don't know how to use the internet, they tell us. Yeah, right, okay.
So I'm pretty patient. So, you know, I watched several videos, and I had started before in learning other things. And I found a little class online for like 20 euros, and it wasn't very good, but it was just enough. And then I knew the questions to ask, and then I Googled like how do I do that?
Yeah.
And so it works. So I'm really pleased. I'm really happy with what I'm doing. So then it also is stimulating to then, okay, what can be my next recipe? What can I do now? You know, what's in season? And then I see like all my friends, we're all cooking the same things right now. Everyone's making Tuscan ragu. Everyone's making Tuscan white beans. We're making pasta fagioli. You know, it's fun. Artichokes are in season right now. Andrea foraged some asparagus the other day. There's a asparagus patch. They brought me asparagus. So, you know, you cook with what you've got. And then, do I want soup? Do I want risotto? Do I want pasta?
Yeah.
And then what else do I have? Do I have garlic? Do I have onions? Do I have whatever? Do I have any pancetta? Do I have prosciutto? You know?
Yeah. That's good, because it keeps you, you know, I think it's so easy to let ourselves just go like, oh, you know, I don't have a job right now. And from day one, we were talking, me and you, from day one, okay. I remember you said to me, Monica, go on Patreon. I said, no, I don't know how to do it. But you know, for me, I think everybody's got to find its way, but just the fact that we were talking about it and we weren't letting ourselves be like, oh my God, what are we going to do now that we haven't got any bookings?
Yeah, because I mean, everybody, I mean, you're more into like social media, besides your cooking thing too, you're more into social media. It's like, I think what the job you do more of, and promoting people and interviewing people and writing restaurant reviews and stuff like that. And those are things that, you know, you probably even have information you could keep going with that. Like I just got, last month, I spent the whole month, what do you call it, curating the Savoir Cookbook of the Month Club for them on their online site. So there was a book to review. They sent me the book, and then I was supposed to cook through it, post the pictures, and, you know, talk with the other people. So I had a whole month of cooking with other people that were cooking from the same book, and then I was hired by them to interview the author, and they published that. So I did March, I had homework.
Yeah.
And so that was good.
Let's say this quarantine I keep saying to, you know, I keep seeing everybody desperate for this quarantine. And I think for people like us, it's like, yeah, it's like any other day for me. I don't see the difference.
This isn't the first. This is the worst it's ever been. But we had 9/11. We had SARS. We had the mad cow. I remember, and I can't remember because I have a really bad memory. There was one period of time in Florence, and it might have been after 9/11 or SARS, when no one came. And how many small hotels closed in Florence and never reopened?
Yeah.
Other tourists were here, so restaurants are open and stuff like that. They didn't close, but small hotels closed. Those just disappeared. So it's not the first time. And in 2009, when I closed my cooking school in Florence, one of the reasons was I was offered a job of doing my market-to-table cooking class tours for a elegant cruise ship company. And it was going to be 15 tours, and it was going to be like $15,000. And I'm like, oh, that's great. I mean, I'm not really good at tours, but big groups, but this was going to be fun because it's what I do. And so I thought, well, I'll let the rent go, and then that will be positive income, that my cats are all walking below, and that's when the stock market fell and they canceled all the tours. So I had nowhere to teach. And
And you stopped again.
So I self-published my book, and I booked a teaching tour.
How many times has been printed? I mean, how many copies have you sold?
I really don't remember, but I'm not going to reprint it again just because it's a lot of work.
Okay.
Selling. So I made an ebook of it now, which is not the same. And I think what I'm going to do, I have time off, is to do a print-on-demand copy because I think it's a good book. Yes. And it's the basics, and I don't want it to die or disappear.
No.
But I think print on demand, because if I printed it, I would have to print another 1,000 copies, and then you get into the whole big thing of trying to sell it and get paid
I think Letizia is doing that. I think she's...
second book. Yeah, but she's still teaching. She still has her place, and she's still teaching. So it makes sense. And
of course.
For me, it's exhausting to... my book's in the Uffizi Gallery in Florence, and it's an English language bookstore here. But I had it in other places, but then you have to deliver it. And then they take like 50 or 55% of the cost of the book. And then you have to pay taxes on it. So I made a book. I love the book. I'm really happy with the book. It's an ebook now.
Yeah. Let's tell people out there, you do not make money as a writer unless you are big. At the beginning, you do not make them.
I go to culinary conferences every year. So one of my friends, the words of wisdom from the people that really do this. Number one, almost everyone I know that's a cooking teacher, their husband's a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, and it's a fun money. You don't get rich, and it's seasonal and stuff like that. Writing cookbooks is the same thing. But with your knowledge, then you take that and you could write articles for magazines, you could write articles for newspapers, you can teach cooking classes, you could do a tour. So my friend told me you have to be able to resell it in 3 different ways, your information. Repackage it and resell it in 3 different ways. And I think that's, I've always tried to be creative and always had other ideas. And I think, we talk all the time about brainstorming about doing things and how to...
That's one of the things that I love you the most. Is I was telling the beginning when I was introducing that I think is your greatest quality that I always appreciate is that you just give all your suggestion information so generously, sometimes even too much, I think. But you're so kind. Well, I don't know, but it's so nice. Oh, they want to know, Sandy wants to know, how did you meet Dario the butcher?
Because I was in Florence, and my friend Faith Willinger wrote a book, Eating in Italy, and she had written about him, and she knows all the big people, and so we drove up. I used to come to Chianti all the time to a restaurant that was just the next town down, and where Dario is a tiny little village that people usually just drove through. So we drove up, so let's go look for the butcher in town. So we drove up, and we're looking for this butcher. We walk in, and it's a tiny little butcher shop, and we're like, oh, yeah, hi. And he's just kind of like, and
typical Tuscan.
No, it wasn't him. It was another butcher. I didn't have the address at the time. I just knew that there was a butcher in Panzano. Well, there were 3 butchers in Panzano.
Oops.
And Dario's really out of the way, up a little street. And so then I found out what the real address was, and we went there, and we started. He was just funny. He would always give you lots of wine and food to eat when you went there. And when I went there, it was just that one little butcher shop. There was nothing else. And we started going on weekends, and I'd hang out for hours, and then we'd pour wine, and we'd slice the meat and help and hand things out. And then eventually I worked there for 2 years. We lived in his house, and my husband drove and delivered meat for him, and I worked as a cashier and cooking with him.
Okay.
Or anything got really big. And then after we left, then I think we opened up the burger place first, and then the Solo Chicha restaurant, and then Dario Doc, and then now the Officina. And so when he had the Mad Cow auction, I was working there then, and in that Chef's Table film that was just on last year, I think they filmed that, he invited us to come to the dinner that they were filming. So people are always talking to me and say, oh yeah, we saw you in the movie, you're eating there and stuff like that. But if you also look in the auction, I'm standing by the butcher door because even back then we were working with him. He's like a brother to me now. He's a very sweet man. A lot of people think he's just aggressive and crazy, and I don't know. There's just...
He's Tuscan, isn't he?
He's Tuscan. He's very Tuscan.
Tuscan men, you can't tell. I mean, I think the few Tuscan men that I met, I adore them, as in they can be a bit abrupt, but after, when you get to know them, they're so funny.
Yeah.
I find Tuscan men so funny.
Very kind of great, so very straightforward and honest, and they tell you what you think. And you can have somebody here, and 2 minutes later, let's have a coffee or a drink, you know? That's what I love. Yeah, they're kind of crazy.
Yeah, whenever I come to Tuscany, I always get on well, because as soon as they find out that I'm a Veneto woman, they look at me, oh, she drinks, that's fine. She's one of us, that's fine. So, woman.
Did I ever tell you my aunt lived in Venice for 35 years?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. But you still haven't come to Venice. That's the problem.
Well, I used to go often, a lot.
Yes, but not since we known each other.
No.
So now we got to.
Have happened.
Yeah. Right. Listen. Now everybody's here because they want recipes from you. Okay. So for the Americans, because of course the Italians, if they're watching, they're looking at us and say, oh, we know this. Okay. So for the Americans, ingredients, basic ingredients to keep at home during these days, and so simple ingredients and a couple of simple recipes that they can go buy. They don't have to worry too much.
Well, I think one of the things that I've been watching what everyone's doing, the quarantine kitchens and stuff like that, if you're not shopping every day, number one, like we don't have big refrigerators. So if I buy a piece of fish or chicken or meat, I have to eat it within a day or two, or it goes bad here, right? So if I buy something the day I go shopping, we'll eat like a salmon steak, something quick on the grill, or a seared piece of meat or pork chops. The other day I did the Tuscan beans and sausage, fagioli al luccioletto, which are twice cooked. I think a basic pantry items are all the different kinds of beans. So the can of beans and the chickpeas. Today we had chickpeas for lunch and a salad, a warm salad. And I think you don't have to cook your own beans. You could buy beans. Just throw in the liquid that they're cooked in, and then you could garlic and olive oil, and chili pepper, warm them up or something, or give them a little flavoring. But the pasta, it depends where you live. Like here, it's almost warm during the days, but the pasta fagioli soups, the Tuscan beans, and a salad with tuna and onions. We, of course, have all the stale bread recipes, the papa pomodoro, the ricotta, the minestrones. I think minestrone, I usually make a big pot of minestrone. I usually make bollito misto.
Yes.
I love to do, I usually do that at Christmas time. And I'll do it to have the broth, to do tortellinis in broth, and to have the broth just to eat with the pastino, those little like stars shaped pasta, just like at nighttime. Something light for dinner. But then
like for example, I made chicken and beef broth the other day, and of course I have the beef only took the bone just to give it flavor, so I had the chicken. I didn't want to eat it like that, so tonight I mashed it with some mayonnaise, and we have it tramezzini alla veneziana, because the kids said, okay, we have tramezzini. Okay, so we're gonna have a mix of tramezzini. So the meat, that's what you were saying before. You don't have to eat it necessarily the way you cooked it. You can reinvent a
Because
recipe.
usually, too, the meat, when you do the bollito, it tastes horrible because the broth is good. So I usually, too, we eat the boiled meat maybe the first night with mayonnaise and salsa verde and olive oil and stuff like that. But I make it to make the stew, the lesso di fatto, where we take like 2 kilos of onions and saute them down and then cut up the leftover beef and put tomatoes and red wine. Oh, it's the best stew in the whole world. And so I think all those envisioning that the food is going to be something else and not just be leftovers. So I see everyone, like I made black beans out of that book the other day, and it was cooking black beans with a whole head of garlic, I think, in there and some other things, maybe bay leaf or something. And then the author drained the beans from the broth and cooked rice in the broth and made black rice that looked like the spank rice. Oh my God, it was fabulous. I've never done that.
Oh,
that was exquisite. It was exquisite. And then the black beans, I had black beans. He pureed everything, the whole head of garlic, everything got pureed into the beans where I would have taken it out. And that was magical. And so then I had black beans to do Mexican food.
Oh, I adore it.
Fried beans. I had to make my own tortillas, flour tortillas.
Oh.
But then it could have been soup.
Yeah. I love when I was saying a couple of, I'm kind of making Mexican every week now, because what's happening is I make a lot, as in, we don't like very spicy thing, but what I like about Mexican is that I prepare all the vegetables, put them on the table, and then everybody puts in what they want on the table.
Yeah.
Well, it's great, because the day after, with all those leftovers, you get an amazing, giant, beautiful salad mixed with little things, and it comes a totally different dish. And I love that. But what I like about the Tuscan cooking is what you call cucina povera. You use a lot of long cooking, a lot of lentils, beans. But you tend to use very little fish, unless you're on the coast, right?
Bacala.
Yeah, but it's not the bacala.
Cachuco, octopus. I do a lot of octopus.
Oh, okay. Oh, I love that. That's one of my favorites.
Very rarely would we buy prawns. I do calamari in semino.
Okay.
It's a charred tomato sauce and squid stew, which is really good. I love that. And but it's usually poor people's fish. The poor people's fish.
Yeah.
Anchovies, of course. We love anchovies.
Yes.
Things that most Americans, I think, hate because they haven't had the really good stuff.
Yeah. I like the fresh one. I don't like the thin ones, for example. If it's got to be, it's got to be fresh. I can't stand tin ones, sorry.
I love the really meaty good ones, and I buy the ones in salt, and then I soak them in red wine vinegar.
If you buy the one in salt, you should do bigoli in salsa then.
I've had it.
Oh my God, that's such an easy recipe for people. I think it's one of the easiest pasta dishes ever.
So I go to Sicily a lot with groups, so we have the pasta con le sarde, which is kind of similar, which is the sardines cooked down with the wild fennel. Yeah. There's just so many beautiful, poor recipes that are so simple, and I just really do encourage people that have time now is to research recipes and don't. I think what we used to do in America is we'd plan a dinner party, open up all your books, get everything out, plan your dinner party, write down the recipes, and then go shopping, and then get there, and maybe there was no salmon. And then there goes your whole dinner party. Whereas we go shopping, we say, oh, what looks good? Oh, that looks good. Today the roast pork looks fabulous, or the salmon looks great. I have 8 people. I need so many grams per person. Give me that much. And then I'll go home, open a bottle of wine, sit there, and then I look at my recipe books.
Yeah.
What can I do with it? There's one. And most people, I think
it's a different approach.
Yeah.
It's a different total approach. I think it was happening in America. I don't think it was like that at the beginning. It probably is changing the years and stuff. But you cook. I don't know. Is a special thing cooking. When for us is normal thing cooking. It's
a special thing to go out in Italy because it's expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I go out. Well, I'm lucky that I go out for my job because obviously doing restaurant reviews, but I also go out. I like going out, and if I go out, I definitely don't go and eat what I can cook at home.
Exactly,
if I go to a restaurant, I'll try to order one of the most complicated dishes because I think, I don't want to do that, or I cannot do that, or I don't know, for some reason. So
to learn something new too, to see a new presentation or something.
of course.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but and I think that's one thing too. When people go out to eat, especially in Florence, I know they're always seeing the same dishes.
Yes.
Because Florentines, when they go out, they want the grilled steak, they want roast pork, they want fried food, and they want pizza. Because that's not something they're going to do at home.
Yes.
And you see that every single restaurant.
Yeah, and that's a bit sad though.
Well, it's hard, I think, when people are going out to eat that they don't know what the other things are and they don't know how to ask for things. If you don't know the language, I mean, now you're getting sushi everywhere and you're getting hamburgers and steak. Things are changing. In the past, 5 years, things have really changed. But before, it was going out was a special occasion and you went for things and they had to be on the menu.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what happened in Venice as well. We were giving things. Thankfully, a lot of restaurants have changed. The scene in Venice has really changed the last 5 years, I've got to say. You still have the tourist restaurants, but the majority of restaurants have gone back to cook proper Venetian food, and they gone away from, what I was saying 10 years ago. People were giving to the tourists what the tourists asked. No, the point is, you have got to give it to the tourist what's yours. The tourist shouldn't ask. You should be the one that go there and say, look, trust me, try this. You'll be happy with this, you know?
As a tourist, too, sometimes you just needed something and you knew what it was. I just want breast and some French fries. Because before there were no Airbnbs, you couldn't rent an apartment, and you're eating out breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. And remember when there were no salads? It was like a main course. There was just like a side salad for like 3,000 lira or something.
Yeah.
Salads as food. So now there's salads as food, which is kind of a good thing. But before there were no salads as food. Because sometimes you can't eat steak all the time or meat every day. And restaurants want you to have a full meal. And that's also changing now too, I think.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's definitely has changed. So what I usually ask my people, Audrey, before, have you got something done by hand on you? Yes?
Well, I do. Well, these are from a Florentine artist. She's really great, from the 80s.
I know, I can see them. They're gorgeous.
She does plexiglass earrings and jewelry. So necklaces and earrings and bracelets that are usually bright colors, and they're very light. Way down your ears, and that's kind of fun. She's got 2 shops in Florence, but I met her when she was first a street artist. What else? I have, because I cook.
Yes.
Oh,
I like that. Okay. What is this?
This is made from a Florentine artisan, about 20 minutes from my house.
Okay.
And, see that? That's to cut a disc of pasta.
Ooh.
And then this is San Lorenzo. Can you see that?
Okay. So you do the printing of it.
And then this is the top.
Okay. Yes.
So it's like a little, they're called corsetti, and they're actually from the Cavity Genoa region.
Yes.
So a whole little set. His name is Filippo Romagnoli.
Oh, yes.
And he shows online. He does a lot of custom designs online.
Yes, I do know.
His family.
I didn't realize it was near your house.
Yeah, about 20 minutes that way.
Oh, my God.
On the way to Dario's.
Okay. I didn't know that.
An hour that way. So his family was very, very famous for making custom furniture for like 5-star hotels and for cruise ships, those big steamships in the old days, with the big picture frames and the side tables and the carved beds and the armoires and all that kind of stuff. And then his dad died and his brother died.
Oh.
And so and then people started also buying things made out of sawdust instead of out of wood. So he decided to go back to making these tools that his family had made for special order, because the actual shape is like a coin.
Am I wrong? Or he does also all the rolling pins?
Rolling pins.
All the designs on it.
He does cutting boards, and he still does those beautiful picture frames and all that. But yeah, he does a lot of custom kitchen things now. So he's also like really come to life again through internet. He was by a woman here that Google hired an Italian PR company to help artisans sell and create a market online.
Oh, I like that.
So they trained all these artisans, and some people just ran with it. And so, yeah, so he saved his craft and can work by himself. He doesn't have anybody anymore to work those big machines that they need for all the furniture. And he's doing well and, taking orders and shipping online. So he's really good. And what else do I have? I love bread things. So
See, I knew you will come prepared.
when I go to Matera, when I go down to Puglia and then I go to Matera, this
Oh, that's beautiful.
is a
Okay.
hardwood bread stamp.
Oh my God, look at that.
Andrea Francini, I got AF. But these are usually given like your fiancés or something. You custom order them, and there's different woods. This one is lemon wood. All different woods has really ornate designs. And the symbol in Puglia, of course, in that area down there is usually a chicken or a rooster. It's got the little heart on it. And so when you make this special bread, the bread of Matera, when you would take them to the public ovens, you would stamp them.
Okay, because then you know it's yours.
For bread, so you would get your loaf of bread back.
Oh, wow.
And then this is coronavirus. I usually go out truffle hunting with a family that lives near Andrea Bocelli's house. And Andrea Bocelli's grandfather and father and his brother have a winery. And they're also a president of the Bank of the Village. They have the concert out there. And near them is my truffle guy. And near my truffle guy is an old liqueur factory that the man started as a salesman with a cart going back and forth, and then he started a bicycle company and then a gas station, and then started making liqueurs with all these things that he got when he was selling things at the port. He'd buy spices and infusions, so he makes like alkermes, and he makes like punch livornese, and a lot of things that are whole grain alcohol and then infused to make all the old liqueurs like bars used to have. And now they make limoncello and orangecello and the limoncello creams, and he's making one that's called limoncino, limon divino maybe. And what it is some places in America don't have liquor licenses.
Yes.
So he created a white wine that's spiked with limoncello.
Okay, that's interesting.
New aperitivo, because you can serve it with Prosecco.
Of course.
And if your place has a liquor license, they could add gin or vodka. He's also making a gin with chamomile, rosemary, and thyme, like local herbs. Because we couldn't buy any amuquina.
Ah, yes, I saw you were posting that thing. Yes, he's doing the spray.
So this is a 70% alcohol, which they deal with, and lemon-infused hand sanitizer.
That's great. That's fantastic.
So I think when we saw Italy, Gucci, everyone's pushing through to create things that they don't have. Wait a second, and then you, of course, know my friend Nora.
Yes.
Fancy cashmere. I have my cashmere scarf.
Yes.
And she also makes soap, because she doesn't make cheese from the milk, so she milks the sheep when she can, the caprini, and makes soap out of that. And then also I have a little flask of like laundry soap that was to wash the cashmere that you have.
Wow, I should use you as the artisan a website advertiser. That's what we should start as well.
I created an app that I give away for free.
Oh, it's on your website.
Taste Chianti.
Okay. Right.
So
since we're talking about social media, did you prepare your little... See, I know I need to talk to professionals. The professionals come ready. See?
I did my homework. I even did it backwards. I did it backwards.
You're amazing. Here we go. Where can we find Judy? We can find her at divinacucina.com and on Instagram and Twitter and on Facebook, Divina Cucina. And in there, we can download your book.
Yeah, you can buy my ebook online. I still have a few copies of my regular book, but right now I can't ship them anywhere, so let's forget that. But I have my ebook online that you could buy, and then the free Chianti app, which I'm in the process now of just redoing for the new season, putting another couple of, I found another place for a cooking class. There's a nice place near Darius, on the way from Panzano going to Castellino in Chianti, an old hunting lodge, which a woman inherited from her father. And she took it back over now. Her kids are grown up and they're married, and one is the winemaker for the villa. They have places to stay. It's Crocetta di Castellina. One son married an American, Mary Shea, and they do wine tastings. They do one of those beautiful dinners in the vineyards in the summer, and then the mom cooking classes.
And one thing I got to say, the people can still book your cooking classes. Tour, because it doesn't matter if they cannot come straight away. They can just book it and then have an open day.
Most people, when they do book somebody like me, they're booking 6 months to a year ahead of time. So all the things everybody was already booked for March and April, and those, of course, are all canceled. Those are my big months. It's like I usually go to Sicily in March. So I had a tour in Sicily I was supposed to do in March, and then I had like 3 groups of people that were coming and staying in Chianti. One group was staying in Florence. And then in April, I'd never work around Easter. And then after Easter, I was going to Sicily for 10 days for a custom program. Return clients that then bring other friends. And we're going to do a coast-to-coast Sicily tour. And then I usually don't work in the summer. That's when I might do a cooking class if someone stays out here in a villa. And across the valley for me is a beautiful estate. I work with a woman who bought her father's old estate and turned it into an apartments in a villa. And that's where I teach. If someone's coming for a week, you can use the kitchen.
Everything's not cancelled. It's postponed. That's all it is.
Postponed. Well, and we're booking now for fall and next year. Yeah, and usually people send you a deposit, and then you start planning. And I do the same. I do trip planning now for people, even if they don't want to book me for something. I also, because I've done all this research and traveled so much, I do trip planning for people. A small fee, but advice.
So they can write to you with information we just given. Okay, I got to say goodbye because we're nearly off with the time, because unfortunately Instagram only allows you just about under an hour. Okay.
Dinner time.
He's waiting for the tramezzini and Andrea is waiting for the food too. Yeah. So Judy, finally we did it. I'm so happy. I was so upset on my birthday, you've got no idea. I was really, really, really upset. But, well, I'll wait for you in Venice now.
Okay.
Or I'll come over to you, one or two, whichever.
Not that far.
Really. Yeah, and you should come over, and we can go and finally try the famous Cinico.
Yeah, we have artichoke liqueur here too.
Okay. No, that's not Cynar. That's not Cynar. The Cinico is around
I watch you. But we have other liqueurs here too. And olive leaf things. We have things with olive leaves.
Okay. Darling, nice talking to you. Thank you so much for this wonderful talk. And have a good evening and stay safe. Please stay safe. Okay?
Wash your hands.
Yeah, wash your hands and don't put your eyes. Ciao, ciao, cara. Speak to you soon.
Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye. Thank you.